Entrepreneurs start with a dream scenario. You invent a medically proven product, the science is flawless, and doctors promise to recommend it to every patient. This was the starting point for Bob Jones and his creation, the Regain Bar. It was a nutritional supplement specifically engineered to replace the vital proteins and minerals patients lose during kidney dialysis. The pre-launch data was exceptionally strong. Clinical trials were published in prestigious peer-reviewed journals, and market research with dietitians suggested a 100. First, they had built their business model by surveying the doctors who prescribe the product, while completely ignoring the patients who actually have to buy it. When they finally looked at the demographics, the problem became clear. 75% of dialysis patients reach kidney failure through a lifetime of mismanaging their own health. They weren't looking for a new health food. Many were spending their limited income on beer and cigarettes. The second blind spot was distribution. The team assumed that because the product was effective, retail pharmacies would naturally want to stock it. In reality, they were blocked by slotting fees. These are cash tolls charged by major retailers just to put a product on the shelf. For a startup, these fees can easily reach millions of dollars per quarter. Jones had proven he could build the product, but he hadn't proven he could sell it. Without a motivated buyer and a clear path to reach them, the science alone couldn't keep the company afloat. Jones applied these lessons to his next venture, Nightbite, a time-released glucose bar designed for people with diabetes. The product solved a dangerous physiological problem. If a diabetic's blood sugar drops too low overnight, they risk slipping into a fatal coma before they ever wake up. This time, the team spoke directly to the patients. They discovered that users weren't just thinking about glucose levels. They were living with the daily fear of dying in their sleep. Some even avoided sleeping in beds because they were afraid of getting too comfortable. This research led to a specific design choice. They styled the bar to look like fuel for elite athletes rather than a medical treatment. This protected the ego of professionals who didn't want to appear frail or sick in front of their colleagues. Success required more than physical utility. The product had to be engineered to satisfy the user's emotional needs and their social identity. Most entrepreneurs try to target the largest possible demographic. For Nightbite, that meant looking at all 10 million diagnosed diabetics in the country. But the team used a different filter. They viewed the market as a pyramid, segmented not by age or income, but by how motivated people were to take action. They chose to completely ignore the apathetic majority at the bottom. They weren't going to waste resources trying to convince people who didn't already care about their health. That left a small, glowing tip at the top, the highly motivated individuals who were already spending money and effort to manage their condition. By focusing on this narrow, desperate slice of the market, the team generated a level of sales momentum that a broad, general approach never could have achieved. The startup still faced the same distribution barrier. They couldn't afford millions of dollars in retail slotting fees. To solve this, they identified several thousand certified diabetes educators. These are trusted professionals who help patients manage their daily routines, and they were desperate for a tool that their patients would actually enjoy using. By giving these educators a high-quality solution, the startup turned them into a massive, credible, and completely free sales force. A chain reaction followed. Patients began asking for the bar at their local pharmacies. When pharmacies realized their most valuable customers were asking for a product they didn't carry, they reached out to the startup to stock it. This bottom-up demand changed the power dynamic. Major retailers ended up waiving their slotting fees entirely because they couldn't afford to ignore the customers the startup had already won over. This process of isolating a highly motivated subsegment applies to nearly any industry. For example, when a company launched a specialized sleep drink, they first targeted the broad demographic of exhausted working moms. They sent out 100,000 mailers and received almost no response. But the few people who did buy it were marathon runners. They weren't just tired, they were desperate for rapid muscle recovery through deep sleep. For them, the drink wasn't a luxury, it was a performance tool. Even a guitar teacher can see this. You can chase parents of unmotivated kids for $50 a month, or target nostalgic adults willing to pay hundreds for a sense of community and a return to a hobby love. Ultimately, customers are not buying your product. They are buying a way out of a specific pain. If you find the people who feel that pain the most, they will help you build your business.